for a second. All right. There we go. All right, guys. We got some power rankings here that we're going to give to you guys. Some stuff that we've been talking about preseason-wise. None of this stuff. Well, let me talk about a little bit of how we came to the conclusion of these power rankings. A lot of it's based off of performance last year as well as teams and how those teams are constructed as of today. So that's kind of where like our power rankings lie, and the logic that went behind them. And also we've got something from Mr. Max Alligood that we're going to share with you guys as well. So bear with me here. We're doing a little bit of screen recording for this. So let's try to pull this stuff up and take a look at it. All right, here we go. This right here, we've got Billy's power rankings here. These are, like I said, as to date with current teams, et cetera, et cetera. Billy, you want to talk about a little bit of who you got where and why they're there?
Yeah, it was a little bit difficult to do this as far as we tried to think about previous success, how good your roster is. If you have a good roster but you don't perform well, then it hurt a little bit more than others if they had mediocre rosters. But starting out here, of course, you had to put DeAndre number one just for the simple fact of how good he was last Madden. I don't think anyone could argue that. I think the top five would be pretty chalk, I feel like, just from those guys year in and year out are competing for championships. The hardest part for me was from anywhere between 10 and 20. Because I feel like there were a lot of guys that could beat each other evenly in a 7-10, 5-game series. I feel like you could split at any point in time. There was a couple of guys that I feel like are better than their ranking, but whether they just didn't have a good Madden last year or maybe their team isn't as good going into this Madden and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I got where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can see that. And like you said, DJ, winning 4 out of 5 Super Bowls last year. Yeah, that's a definite. He's up there. He's got to be number one. He's got to be your number one guy coming in. Your top 5, I mean, that's usually everyone who's in the playoffs every single year, and then usually in the conference championship games or going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and a good example here of somebody in the mid-teens that's hard is the Godfather himself. He's always a tough-out, hell of a Madden player. It's just where his roster is. As far as last year, he had to, before the fucking shit show.
Oh, the shit show, yeah.
Teams. I kind of try to look at where his roster is starting this year. It's more improved, but he's good. I think he's going to have to do some work to the roster to get it where he wants. But I think overall he's a top 10 player easily, but he just fell a little bit because of where the Dolphins stand as launch occurs. So now by season 2 or 3, Godfather could be up, anywhere from 8 to 2. I mean, you never know with Ryan as far as and I haven't got to experience a great Dolphins team, a well-built Dolphins team from Ryan and 2 Maddens because of the situation last year. So that's just an example of somebody that kind of fell a little more than I think their ability shows, if that makes sense.
Right. Man, one thing I'm noticing here that we probably should have caught before we started doing this is we still got Matthew on there, but Keith took his spot. But, I mean, kind of when you get down to that range, it's kind of,
Yeah, we'll slot that in before the season starts because I think what we're going to try to do is not every advance, but like every week that we do a podcast, we're going to try to update these. So, if you're down at, for an example, where Swamp is at 24, which now he's the Falcons in our division, so fuck Swamp, so he's probably going to drop to 30. But for an example, if Swamp don't like where he's at and he comes out and starts 3-0, then you're going to see Swamp up in the 16 to 18 range. We're going to try to adjust these for guys to follow and fuck that. Quincy's 28. Quincy's like, fuck that. My team's good. I'm going to be better. Okay, we'll win some games and move up to fucking 20 in 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, these we're going to keep doing this throughout the season. It's going to be up and down. Guys are going to be moving all up and down the board. So we'll see where guys are at by, week 2, week 3 of the season because this list, could completely be different.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to do because you see it in real life too, how people play go through stretches of wins and losses, and I think it'd be interesting to see because we're going to have this saved from our preseason, and then when we get into the playoffs, we'll see where it's at then and see how it's changed or how accurate we were and if it moves much. So I think that'll be a good thing to go by.
All right, and here's my power rankings that I did myself. Like I said, I've got pretty much we're pretty equal, especially on the top 5. If you look at number 3 there, I left Travis Flickinger out, and I'm going to put him at number 16 and push everyone else up. So right now we got DJ at number 1, Tavis 2, Max 3, VA 4, and Don 5. Like, I think that's pretty much what we had.
Yeah.
Or you had. Then I got yourself at number 7. You took a very piss poor Dolphins, team and roster and made them into a competitor out there in the AFC last year. And now you walk in with a very good Buccaneers team, a lot of offensive weapons. I know defensively, you're talking about you got to make some changes there, but you definitely are going to be able to hang with anybody on offense.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the love, and I don't, just for the record, I don't consider myself top 7 in this league as far as ability goes. Obviously, I like to be confident, but I think making the playoffs as many times as last year with the piss poor, lowest rated team on the game,
right,
and then coming in with such a better team, it kind of put myself and you ranking me in a weird spot.
Right.
Like, it made it kind of hard, I feel like, to even judge myself because of how different the roster is coming into this Madden.
Right.
But just looking at yours here, I do like it, but if there's a guy that's a little bit lower down the list that you think would have the, say, 20 and above, 20 to 32, that you think could make a jump, not necessarily in the top 10, maybe in the lower teens to mid-teens, who do you think could make that jump this Madden?
I probably got like 2 guys that I'm looking at right now. Definitely Steven. Steven had a bad Madden last year, and now he's walking in.
He's excited.
He's walking into the Jags. That's his team. So maybe he's going to be a little bit more invested this year, do a little bit better. So we'll see. But Steven, he's got great stick skills.
I played him. When I was with the Bengals, my first season in this league.
So he's got the stick skills. Like I said, he just kind of seemed like he was just not invested last year. And then probably a Corey Wall.
Exactly who I was going
I think Corey Wall can make that jump this year.
I agree. There was times when Corey had a hell of a end to Madden. He came in late, but he took that. Was it the Panthers he came in with?
Panthers,
I played him, and he had a couple of last 2 good seasons with them. So, which it's hard to, you couldn't make the preseason prediction of him being too high just from the work that he done because he wasn't in it long enough and didn't have enough success. But I think that someone coming in with the young Bengals team that maybe by season 2, which I had him predicted having a pretty good year 1, but by season 2 or 3, I could definitely see him up there in the 13 to 17 range. No problem at all.
Yeah, like I said, he's got that Bengals roster, and I actually played a ranked game with them last night. Pretty good, man. I'm telling you, Joe Burrow to John Ross. That's a very sick combination right there. Yeah, man.
It'd be interesting to see how he builds that team because I was considering maybe making a deal for AJ Green, and then I forgot that they franchise tagged him, and his old ass is making like $17 million. And I was like, dude, my fucking roster can't even take that on. So it's interesting to see. That's probably a guy that you've got to let go unless you can sign him to another year or 2, and he just comes cheaper because obviously it's different on Madden than in real life. But it'll be interesting to see what he does with a couple of those spots and who he upgrades to or what he does in the draft and see what moves he makes.
Right. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit some of these bottom guys I got here. At number 32, I've got LaCars. So did you. But he's the Bills now, so he's got a better team than what he did last year. I think. Who did he have last year?
Well, he had the Saints.
Well, never mind. He doesn't have a better team than he had last year. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see with this guy. He's usually always vying for a top 5 draft pick. Roster management's never really that great. So we'll see. The Bills do have a better roster, do have a good roster, but they've got a lot of old guys on there. They've got some contracts that he's going to have to juggle and balance with. So I mean, we'll see what he does.
What do you think if you had to? Which we know LaCarsa is not going to like that, and we're going to hear some shit. But I enjoy that with the podcast and the league in general. I want to hear the shit talk or whatever. But what do you think if you're LaCarsa and you had to give him some advice? What do you think it would be in order for him to jump some spots?
Don't trade away all your players to begin with, like your good players. Don't give up your draft capital and stuff to pick up some wide receiver that's like that you think's pretty good. That's like 84, 85 overall, but is like 31 years old and is due $20 million a year. And just learn to love your team and learn to play with your team, and get in the habit of not trying to force things in a lot of games. I think that's where his problem lies a lot, man. He tries to force things, especially on the offensive. Yeah, on the offensive side of the ball. A lot of times, if he could string together drives, instead of trying to throw the 25, 30-yard, deep middle pass, throw that, 5-yard hook route. Throw that, that little 10-yard out.
Sustained drives.
Yeah, sustained drives. Have drives, string them together. And then, he's walking into a very tough division up there. Yeah. You got Danny, you've got Ryan, and then Jordan. So it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. No. But like I said, he's got a good cornerback in Tre'Davious White. He's got a good linebacker. God, I can't think of his name. And he's the one. He's got a brother, Edmonds.
Yeah.
And yeah. And you had Stephon Diggs, and then you got Josh Allen.
They had a tight end that came on strong last year, and I think he didn't get any love in Madden, but I was looking at him not long ago, and I think he was high 60s, maybe low 70s, but he was a fucking Dawson Knox. That motherfucker in fantasy last year towards the end was playing some football. But just to jump a little bit more, say not necessarily top 10, but maybe top 15 guys. What's a guy on the flip side that you could see that you have hired, that you have confidence in, that could struggle maybe if they don't make a couple of good roster moves, or if they're not invested as much, they could drop down into the 20s maybe?
Looking at it right now, if I had to say, Walter could be right there. The Bears, if you look at it, they're one of the worst cap situations in Madden, and that's what all the articles and stuff say about them. So it's going to be hard. This is where it comes into play. Like, how good are you with managing a roster? How good are you with juggling contracts? Because I had to go through it last year with the Vikings.
Yep.
I had guys who were 30+ years old making $20+ million, and it was tough.
Yep. That's a good example, though. I like that.
But
more so roster than ability.
More so roster than ability with him. So, like I said, because Khalil Mack's making a lot of money. I'm pretty sure Eddie Jackson's making a lot of money, or is about to make a lot of money. They gave Jimmy Graham a stupid contract just to draft another tight end, and they got 8 tight ends on roster.
That's so fucking weird.
But yeah, man,
I wonder in real life as a front office when you're sitting there thinking and you see that, what the fuck goes through your mind? You know what? We got Jimmy Graham. Let's draft 4 more. Fuck it. We got 8. We'll make it work. Like, why would you? For what? He's going to have to cut fucking 6 of them.
Right.
Maybe not 5, but but shit.
All right. Yeah, you guys are getting to see some of my emails here. Motherhood, maternity. I'm trying to get some, maternity clothes. All right, now this is some stuff that Max has sent us. Some of the divisions, what he thinks, how they're going to shake up and everything. So if I can move this. All right.
Boom.
What we got here, Max has got the AFC North, NFC North, and it looks like and then both the South division. So right now he's got the Ravens himself sitting at the top of the AFC North. I can't really dispute that or argue with that too much.
I'd be surprised with 4 losses personally.
Yeah. And then you got followed by the Browns, Steelers, and then Bengals.
That was a little bit surprising to me.
Who is the Browns this year?
AJ Estrada.
AJ.
Yeah, I haven't played him much, so I don't know a whole lot. The roster looks pretty good, I believe, but I was surprised not to see Mo up there. Mo's always a solid player. Their roster looks better than it has a little bit. Big Ben's back. He didn't get a lot of love, but he makes a trade or a draft pick at quarterback, and he's right there with Juju and them.
It's true.
It'd be interesting.
Then you got over here, you got Green Bay. Hard to argue with that with DJ. You got Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary on the defensive line. Very good team in Green Bay. And that division for a while was in limbo. You never know who's going to be who. And now we settled it here. We've got Walter. He's got Walter going 10-5. Then 4-11 with the Vikings. Who's the Vikings now?
Ron Michael.
Is Ron the Viking? Yeah, I remember because I was like thinking about the contracts there, and I was like,
and he chose them over the Cardinals. We won't get into that, Ron. Nice decision. You do you, boy.
And then you got Pookie down there with 1-14. I don't know, man. We might see Pookie surprise somebody this year or something.
Dude, I for some reason kind of fuck with the young guys that the Lions brought in.
Yeah,
they brought in some talent.
Then coming down to the AFC South, showing Steven a lot of love here.
Yeah,
12
that's a hell of a season.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough division if you think about it.
It really is.
So 12-4 for the Jags. Hopefully, Steven's able to find some offense. Because, I mean, his defense is going to be tough. Yeah. You got C.J. Henderson, you got Ngagwe, and Josh Allen on the defensive side of the ball. So his defense is set. Offense is where he's really going to struggle, I believe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's possible.
If Fournette can get going and he can find a good, consistent running game and stick with it, because I've noticed this game isn't necessarily like you can run the ball well, but it's one of those things to where you got to stick with it and sustain it and not give up on it so soon.
Right.
So I think if he can manage that and kind of play a keep-away style,
right,
and let his defense keep him in games rather than try to hit the big home runs constantly and keep up with people, then I think he's really got potential to have a good season.
And then, like I said, you got Roy coming in there at second place, and then Anthony Williams. He's a very good player. He's got good stick skills.
That's a very interesting team going into this year, I think.
Usually, I think it was about season 4, season 5. He definitely had Detroit rolling by then, and was.
I don't think it'll take him that long with Indy. I like Indy's roster.
I like Indy's roster as well. You got Quentin Nelson on the offensive line.
Darius Leonard on defense.
Yeah.
They've got 3 solid running backs.
They added Jonathan Taylor,
Mack, and forget the other guy's name. He gets clock. Marlon Mack and what's that guy's name? Anyway.
Nakeem.
Yep, Hines.
Yeah.
Yep, Hines. And then you brought in Phillip, and then you still got T.Y.
Yep. So.
And did Ebron go there? I'm pretty sure
he was there. I don't know if he still is. And they still have that one, not Jacoby Fleener, the other white. It's like Jack something, I think.
Doyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack Doyle. And then he's got the Titans finishing last in the division with 4-12. Daniel Bullington, he's a Titans.
No, John B. They switched for this one man.
Yeah, you're right. John B. I mean, his other favorite team is the Titans. He's an Eagles and Titans fan. So, and I played against DJ a few days ago with the Titans. Derrick Henry, unbelievable. And you flip up on that right stick, whoever's in front of you, it's a wrap. It's done for them.
Freight train's coming.
Yeah.
I think John B's in an interesting situation roster-wise where if he can kind of, like we talked about before, minimize mistakes, sustain drives, run the ball, stick with it, and stuff like that, then I think you could really see him upset a couple of teams. I think he could have a better year than 4-12, but I think 4-12 is also possible. It's a pretty weird situation.
Right. And
that division's up for the taking, man.
It really is. And then you got the AFC South, or NFC South, excuse me. He's got you sitting at the top of NFC South, which I mean is very possible, and then Don following that, which is also very possible. Between you two, it could flip flop either way. Don comes in with the best roster on the game, out the box. You've got Tom Terrific down there in Tampa Bay. You got all the weapons on the outside. Gronk's back, apparently making God-tier one-handed catches in the end zone. And, like I said, you'll be able to score on anybody and stuff. It's just on that defensive side of the ball.
Get it figured out.
The secondary. Me and you kind of have similar problems.
Yep.
Front seven's pretty good. The back end is where problems.
Very fucking young, both of us.
Right.
I think you averaged your whole team. I think,
Yeah.
and I did my average secondary. My average age in the secondary is 23 years old.
Yeah,
They've got 2 guys that are second year, 1 guy that has been in 1 year, and then they've got a rookie on the back end. Like, they're fucking young, buddy.
Yeah, I looked at mine and they said it's the youngest defense in the league since like in 10 years. And it's like 23 and a half year old for the entire defense. So Definitely going to be some growing pains, but I mean, maybe by year 2, year 3, I could have a very solid defense.
Yeah, and all those young guys in my secondary are mid-70s, so if somebody has a couple of good, good season or two, then we could have a secondary by year 3 with all guys in the 80s with their contract coming up, so they could give us some tough situations.
And I guess Max is thinking I'm just not going to play another game because he got me at 8-7, so I don't know if I'm going to be 8-8 or 9-7. So, but I'm assuming he's going to meant to say 9-7. But I mean, that's kind of where I thought I was going to be at myself. I was saying anywhere between 7-9 and 9-7. Could miss the playoffs, could make them. I'm going to be one of those bubble teams on the fringe.
He's got Don missing a game too.
Oh, does he? Yeah. So we'll see. He's got you missing one too, 11-4.
Oh, nice. That's weird.
Max, were you drunk when you made this, buddy?
We get the point though.
I get it. But yeah, so then, like I said, it's gonna take some growing pains for me, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, I've been able to tweak some things, do some things, and I'm excited to run the offense I've constructed.
What's Swamp got to do down there?
Swamp, I don't know, man. They're in another one of those tough situations where it's a bunch of older guys and some older guys on some contracts making a lot of.
God bless your soul.
Thank you. Making some monies. So, I mean, you got Matt Ryan, you got Julio, you got Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. They got rid of Sanu.
Brought in Todd Gurley.
Lost Austin Hooper. Defensively, they lost Trufant.
I know their secondary is hot fucking garbage.
Keanu Neal.
And they're not all young is a sad thing. They're just fucking trash.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. We'll have to see what Swamp's going to do with those guys as far as that team goes. So I guess that covers the AFC, the Souths and the Norths. Let's see what we got here.
That's the end.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last thing. We did some playoff predictions. There it is.
All right. No, that's the one we just covered.
Same one.
All right. So it should be this one then. All right.
There
cool. All right. In the NFC or AFC East, he's got Patriots going in 10-6, which I mean I can see. You got Cam Newton, still a very solid defense. You had Cam into the mix of that offense. I mean,
I'll tell you somebody I like on that team randomly is N'Keal Harry.
N'Keal Harry, he's very solid.
I've heard a lot about him in training camp.
And then from there, you've got the Godfather himself with the Miami Dolphins. He's bringing in Tua. I mean, that's very possible as well. Like I said, I mean, Ryan, he is a Dolphins fan to the core, and we'll see what he can do.
You never have to question his investment.
No, you never did. Then you got the Jets with 4-12. Danny down there. What did he say his defense was? Was it 65 or something?
68
or something.
Something fucking trash.
So it's going to be some growing pains for old Danny. We'll see what happens.
Because like we talked about with a couple of guys too, Danny has that tendency to where he wants to take shots and put up points and go fast and shit. And that, but with his situation on defense, you about need to fucking take a little bit of time and settle the fuck down and sustain some drives. That's easier said than done. I feel like that's everybody's goal in fucking, not only Madden, but in real life, is to sustain drives. And you see some people pick and choose their shots that they take. But in his situation with that bad of a defense, you can't keep them on the field all game.
No. Then you got the Buffalo Bills with Lacaris 1-15. Kind of like what we talked about before. It depends on if Lacaris decides not to be out here, trying to run an air raid offense and get big chunk plays at a time. Can go out here and string the drives together. Like I said, his defense is solid. The offense is good. It's good too. But like I said, it's all going to be about user skills with him and what he can do with them. Like I said, if he can figure it out, he could be right there in it, vying for a playoff spot, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we talk a lot of shit about Lacaris, but hell, here's your fucking chance. We ain't dogging you here.
All right. Then you got the NFC East. This is kind of like what it looks like normally, except everyone should be about 8-8 or 9-7 in this division in real life. You got Jay Young with the Washington football team.
I'll fuck with those helmets.
9-7. I'm assuming that's what he meant, or 10-6. Top of that division. I can see it, but with Jerry with the Cowboys in that roster,
he's going to have every opportunity.
I think Jerry might be able to take it. got the Godfather here himself asking us if we're going to be ready for this call here in just a second. We're going to wrap this up real quick. And then from there, like I said, you got Jerry, and then you got Daniel, and then Keith. Giants, horrible roster, so I mean I can definitely see that. And then NFC or AFC West, hard to argue with that with the Chiefs going to 16-0. I could see it 110%.
I like his setup of that whole division personally.
Then you got the Raiders, Alexander Crane, good young roster with the Raiders. Got a lot of talent. Henry Ruggs is the real deal. I played against them. Henry Ruggs is the real deal. Trey Logan, Chargers, 9-7. I could definitely see that.
A little bit of work to do on the offense, but the defense is ready to roll.
Depends if he wants to run Herbert or Tyrod. And then the Broncos, 1-15. That's Rico, Nico,
Young
Chico.
offense.
We'll see what they're able to do.
They got some speed.
We'll see what they're able to do. They got Jerry Jeudy. Then we're going out here to the West Coast, to the NFC. You got Tyler at the top with the Cardinals, 14-2. And then VA right behind him at 13-2. I mean, you can flip-flop either one of those and see. And then you got Travis now with the Rams. And Travis is...
I played Travis today.
Come on there pretty late. And
don't be surprised with Travis. The defense can play. He seems like he's getting an idea of what he wants to do offensively as well. The committee of running backs, Cam Akers is going to get a good shot. Cup can play. And Jared Goff is solid. I mean, that right in the middle of the road of just simply solid. So don't be surprised if I can see Travis having a rough year possibly, but he's going to be in about every game that he plays in.
Yeah, like I said, Travis he came on last year definitely with the Bucks, and we'll see. And then you got Quincy there. He's got him at number 13. I mean, Quincy's got a very good roster with the Falcon or not the Falcon, excuse me, the 49ers. They're going to be a tough out on roster alone. So. We'll see what they're able to do. Here is Max's playoff predictions. You've got the Chiefs coming in at number 1, running the table and going to the
winning the whole fucking thing.
Going to the Super Bowl and winning it all. Very hard to argue with that. You got the Ravens and Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I definitely could see that happening.
Got a nice upset with the Dolphins there beating Jordan Ford.
I can definitely see that too. That looks good. And then
this will be a fun playoffs if this is how it's shaped out.
Right.
It's weird because he's got me at 7 here with Don at 2, but he had me top of the division. I don't really know what happened with the format there, but regardless, we get the point. Even if he is 2 or I'm 2, he's got fucking Don beat me regardless, so don't make him fuck. I hope that don't shape out first.
And he's got Tyler upsetting VA in the second round here, so. I mean, all this is very possible. We can say I don't know if I'm going to be making the playoffs. I hope I do. So we'll see. And if I get the first round matchup with the Packers, I'm definitely going to be short lived in those playoffs. But yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm going to try and get this.